Thank you everyone for joining. As you guys have, received communication, we are switching the Intercept program from Web Center over to SWM VMS. SWM VMS is a brand new tool that we've put in so much hard work into. It will really allow more visibility, not only for you as a client, but also for vendors and us as an MSP. And with this new tool, there's going to be a little bit of a shift in the sense of how much more hiring managers are able to see and do in here. So you guys, a lot of your approvals right now, I know, are currently through a lot of emails. So we're hoping to, dwindle that down a little bit, not only for Alicia's sake, but also for all of your sakes. I can imagine that your inboxes get bombarded. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and demo the new VMS tool, and if you can save your questions for the end, I would appreciate it. Also, feel free to add it into the chat, and we can also make sure and get those addressed at the end of the demo. So currently right now, this is the test environment. So if you see a couple of things, you're like, wait a minute, that's not the right person. Just remember it's a test environment in production itself. All the information has been vetted and validated, and it is correct. So this is going to be SWM VMS, and this is your dashboard. Your dashboard is customizable. So if you click into your edit widgets, you can kind of see all of the orders that you have created. So orders meaning job requisitions, all of your candidates, your placements, timesheets, and maybe anything else. Me as a manager, maybe I want to look at my orders that are to be approved. Orders with no submitted candidates, right? You kind of want to see how much activity there's happening. Your candidates in here, your placements, really like placements that maybe you need to approve if you're an approver, or any placement extensions, meaning like an extended end date. Timesheets, right? Timesheets are important, so maybe you definitely want to be able to just go into this and view it. Going over here to your profile, you can kind of click on your profile and you can see your information. You can see the cost centers that you're tied to, your account. You can turn off all your notifications, which I don't necessarily feel is advisable, right? But notifications, maybe this is where, like, I don't need to see all of this information. So you want to remove some of these notifications from coming into your inbox. So going back to the dashboard, a lot of these items you'll be able to see have little numbers on them. So if you really just wanted to go into your timesheets, you can actually just click into it, and it'll take you into the timesheet that needs approval, or basically anything that needs action on your end. So I'm just going to go ahead and go down the menu on the left. So if you click your orders, it is any order that you initially created. And you can kind of see the status. So in this case, it's open. So it's out to it's waiting on either approvals on one of your approvers, or it is waiting on the MSP really for Alicia to have an intake call with you, making sure that, she has a good understanding of what your requirement is or what your need is. Anything that's submitted, meaning that you have candidates on here. So in this case, there is a candidate that was submitted and it's actually booked and pending approval now. Outsource is meaning like vendors are now working on it, and anything that's open, I already touched on that. Anything that's filled is you had a requirement or you had a need, vendors fulfilled it, and now you have an active placement in here, and this is confirmed. So let's say I actually need to create a new order. So I have a new need. I'm going to click on the new category. This is, I'm impersonating Amarita, and so it'll be medical affairs. In my department, I'm actually going to do, let's just do medical director. I am the manager. And so my worksite location, where do I want them to be at? Do I want them to be within one of the Intercept locations, or maybe I just want it remote? In the production environment, you will see more remote options. So maybe you have an idea that you want them to be, I don't know, remote in California, and that's okay. If at some point, like, the worker ends up being in a completely different state, don't worry about that. This is just more of an indication of really in office or really remote. So the vendors really know where to start sourcing candidates from. So let's say that I actually want somebody in office, and maybe in the San Diego office. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And your first approver. I know some of your approval process, is kind of like all over the place. Not all over the place, but more so not maybe linear. And so what we're trying to do here is make that more just a linear process, but we understand that maybe you're not fully aware of who your HRBP is, your department lead, or maybe who even your finance approver is. So your first approver, the only thing that I really need you guys to remember is to always select Alicia. This will not only notify Alicia that there is a new request, but she will be able then to connect with you and be able to say, hey, yes, I understand what your requirements are, what you're looking for. And then she will also validate that we have the correct approvers on here. So in this case, I'm thinking Andrew is my HRBP, and let's say Chatter or Taz is the next one. And then my finance approver is Sarah Whipple. If you don't enter this information correct, do not worry. Alicia will definitely be able to correct this and notify you for future who your actual people are. That way, you already know, like, you're on it, you're good. So timesheet approver will be yourself. Obviously, if you're, needing to add somebody else as an approver, you can kind of add that other person. Order justification, why do we have this need? So is it a new project, backfill? In production, we have a couple of other pieces too, but let's just say this one, I have a new project that I need help with. My cost center, this is tied to you as as you in the organization. So for Rita, it's going to be medical affairs. My budget, in a perfect world, we would have already our purchase orders or SOWs, but I understand that that's not always the case. So in this case, I'm just going to say PO emergency override. This is a completely new project, and I know the purchase order really isn't there yet. So just PO emergency override. Once that candidate has been identified and they are placed, I know that they're in the background of your finance department. All of this SOW gets generated. And so when that SOW gets cut, Alicia and her team will make sure and add that SOW PO to this particular placement. That way invoicing will be accurate. And then let's say I want this person to be exempt. Again, this is information that can be validated either after your placement or be updated after your placement has been identified, or Alicia can kind of help you with this too. Project site. This ties back into what the work site location is, right? Remember you said you wanted this person to be in the office, or maybe you want them to be hybrid. That's fine, but definitely to at least go into the office. So this is more of like, hey, you know what? I want a hybrid role. And then travel, is this person going to be traveling? Probably not. So let's just say no. If they were traveling, if you can guesstimate how much you think travel would be, it's, that would be fantastic. And this is more so for the vendors to be aware. That way, as they're sourcing their candidates, they can find a better match versus finding a good match and then that person being like, no, I don't want to travel at all. So you're kind of starting from zero again. Clicking next. So you're going to click on your job title. How many positions do you want? In this case, I only want one medical affairs guru. In the description, this will not be your job description. On the back end, we are trying to tie in as many job descriptions as possible. So in here, you will only list maybe something specific that is not standard in the job description, right? So maybe I need this medical affairs guru that is not part of the standard requirement, but I want them to have certificate of affairs that's current. So that will be a call out to your vendors. So clicking next. If for some reason this position was already filled, you're going to want to click backdate. So you can click on the backdate. If you do not do that, when you try to go next, it'll give you like, hey, this can't be prior. So you're just going to have to click backdate and select your date again, and it'll allow you. So I want this project though to be in the future. So I'm just going to say, I want this position to be filled by the 29th. I'm not sure how many weeks, but I do know that this project I think should be up until the 30th of August. So it'll calculate it for you. Days of the week. What is your standard? What do you consider this position to be a, standard Monday through Friday, kind of 9 to 5? Then I'm going to go ahead and click that. If you do notice that, like, hey, you know what, I want this person to be working, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday and Tuesdays are weekend, go ahead and click on that. Their start time, end time, this does not mean that they have to start and end at this time. It's more of a nice to know for your workers, right? That way they kind of know what the expectation is. You can always adjust this as well. In thinking about this as a whole and thinking of your budget and your finance, so These fields here will help calculate what your budget will be. What is the estimated cost of this particular requisition? So in this case, it's going to take the 31 weeks. So it's going to calculate the business days times the hours. So standard, 8 times 31 weeks, like however many days that is, times the number of hours, then based off of your bill rate. So this bill rate will be a standard bill rate for this particular role. If your budget is higher or lower, this is where Alicia and her intake call will kind of help adjust this to make sure that we're all on the same page. So you can click next. Next requirements is if you need maybe an extra requirement, maybe you want to say like, hey, this is what I mean by that certificate of affairs. If you have description about that, then maybe you want to add another line in here, or you can upload it like a document. All of these required documents are basic items that we need for any worker that starts with an Intercept. As a manager, obviously, I want to know that a candidate has a resume, right? Because if not, then that kind of doesn't allow me to know what skills they have. So our basic is I need a resume. And then if they do get placed with an Intercept, all of them need a background check and drug screening. So we can click next. Then it's kind of the summary. I'm like, yep, this looks great and fantastic. Click save. So the vacancy was successfully saved. Great. So now you have an order. This is the one, and now it's open. If you click into this, you can always go into the history and you can kind of see where it's at. So you'll be able to see every person that has approved it. So let me just quickly show you here. So here, this order was created. It was outsourced. This is the candidates and all this information. You will also be able to see in here who the approvers were and at what level it's at. Basically, if you see that Alicia already approved it, it'll say in here, Alicia approved it. Assignments. So once your recs have been filled, this is what your active assignment looks like. So you can kind of look it in here. This is taking a minute. I apologize for this. They have been, the developers are currently, I'm assuming, testing something. So it's being a little finicky. I will try to go back to this page. But in essence, this is a summary of the order that you created, only it now has the updated rates if it was, if the rates were updated, and it has the candidate information, so which you can kind of see in here. You can always edit dates, the additional fields and taxes. They're not really for you guys to necessarily have to touch. These additional fields are really like an MSP field that are required on our end. And taxes, that is, you don't have to worry about that. The MSP takes care of that. But if you do have questions about it, feel free to let me know and or Alicia. Let me try this again. All right, sorry about that. Timesheets. So these are all the timesheets. It automatically goes into like the pending timesheet because that's a required action on your end. So you can click on the timesheet and you can see for Gretchen Wiener, she already actually submitted her timesheet for this week. And maybe she already told you that she is going to, leave early today and she's not going to work Friday. So that's great. We can see that she has 24 hours. This is going to be the total cost minus the MSP fee. So you can kind of look at it better in here, making sure that, she took a break. Great. This is the cost center that I was tied to and that's going to be billed against. They said did not work on these days. Fantastic. The summary, it's just more of a reiteration of your order. Placement is still not working. Dang them. And then who the approver is, which in this case is Amrita. So I can either, it's pending approval. So I can dispute it, or I can, you cannot approve a timesheet on, oh, So sorry, I'm impersonating somebody. Give me 1 second. All right, timesheets. Okay, sorry, I was impersonating incorrectly. Going back to Gretchen, hours look okay. You can approve or you can actually dispute. Maybe you said, hey, like I know they didn't work on Tuesday because it's a holiday. It's a company holiday. Nobody was here. So you can kind of go ahead and dispute that and it'll alert Alicia and the vendor regarding the information and why you're disputing it. Or you can be like, yep, this looks good. Approved. Would you accept this candidate to work for you again? Yes. Done. Okay. And then you can X out of that. Reports. I'm not sure how many reports you guys do run, but you guys will have a set amount of reports in here. So let's say you wanted to look at maybe your budget. You can kind of look in here. I'm just going to go ahead and pull all of them and export it. These are test reports, but I kind of just want to show you the functionality of it and how you would go about it. So in here, we can see all of the different purchase orders and the remaining balances, this total spend. Issues. If you do have an issue in here, like hey, you can't see your worker, we can actually go in here and just do issue type. Can't see Katie Miller's timesheet for week ending 1/7, because you know she worked, but it's just not visible. You can list it in here, and then I added too much information, so let's just say in here. If you do have an error, maybe it's a VMS tool error, you want to take a screenshot of that and then upload it in here. That way we'll have more information to be able to dig deep into why you're having an issue. It'll click save, and on the back end, what this ends up doing is it creates a ticket either for Alicia's team, for the vendor team, or for me if it's a VMS tool functionality is not working correctly. Notifications, these are all the notifications that you are receiving. So I created a report, I ran the report, right? It tells you like, hey, the report is ready. If you're in here and it's taking a little bit longer and you're like, I need to go do something else, it'll send you an email saying, hey, your report's ready. It'll also tell you that you created an issue, that you reset your password. You have a daily summary report that gets sent to you, all of this information. The help button. So the parent company of SWM VMS is Bridge VMS. In here, you will have a couple of articles, kind of like user articles, and you can go into Hiring Manager, and it will give you basic information to some of the functionality within SWM VMS. The big call out for that is that we are creating a reference guide for all of you managers. That way you guys will have not only the capabilities to do the things that you need to do, but very Intercept nuanced pieces versus, the other generic ones that I just kind of showed you. And for your approvers and your placement extensions, it is something that I want to show you. Not all of you have been identified as a placement approver or a placement extension. So what that ends up doing is I created an order and, I was a Marita and I needed Gary to approve it, or I need Carol to approve it. What ends up happening is now Caroline is able to see on her end, she'll receive a notification that says, hey, an order needs to be approved on your end. But if she's also in the dashboard, she can see in here that now there's an order that needs to be approved. In this case, maybe she already talked to the manager, Alicia. She's a manager here, and she already knows that this is going to be the rates. Maybe she just wants to like double verify. Yep, these are the rates we talked about. Great. If you'll see in here, she's the first approver. Afterwards, it'll go to Cheddar, then Julia, then maybe Linda. So me being Carol, I'm going to be like, yep, approve. So then this will go on to like the next approver. placement extensions, anytime that you want to extend a placement that impacts budget, right? So as the placement extension approver, you will want to make sure that your finance team is aware of all of these items and extensions. That way we can make sure that you guys have the money for it. And if not, like, let's revise either the SOW or let's revise the need of this extension. So in this case, we see in here placement extensions to be approved. And I can go in here, I can approve or reject. So in here, I know that the original start date was 18th of September. The end date was March 22nd, 2024. The start date is the same, but now we're seeing that they're trying to extend them out by an extra like 3 months, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna be like, you know what? Yes, I'm already aware. This is good. So I can either reject it or approve it. And that is the tool. Are there any questions? Concerns?
And please forgive me if I've missed this, but when do we transition from the prior tool that we're using to this tool? What's the rollout plan?
Oh, so actually we already transitioned. I apologize if you have not received communications on it. I know Alicia has been sending a lot of communications. So we transitioned over from WebCenter into SWM VMS this past Monday, 1/8.
I'm sure I received the communication and just didn't like fully, catch it. So, okay, so
Yeah.
that's helpful. So then when our staff member places their timesheet, presumably like tomorrow, on average, we will get a link. And then that would be, for a lot of us, our first interaction with executing something in the tool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
this
we
week
are
has been
working on
very
that guide.
quiet. Oh, sorry, Jen.
Oh, sorry,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say this week has been very quiet in the tool, but that's definitely when I expect there to be questions. People start diving in and looking around.
I was going to say, get ready for tomorrow, guys.
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, so we are working on a reference guide. That way you guys will be able to just go like, yep, I need to know how to approve a timesheet. If you go into your first time that you log in, and you just add like basically the items that are necessary for you to guys to have an action on, just really easy to like click into it and just, view everything.
That's really helpful, because I think other than the timesheets, and just speaking for myself, any other actions in the tool are going to be few and far between for me. So it would be helpful to have something to pull back up the, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, I would actually be like looking for a candidate, requesting a placement, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And of course, if anything comes up, just reach out to me too. And that's kind of, that's what we expect, is there's not too frequent of users outside of timesheets. So it'll just be a learning curve, and just take a couple times to do it before we let it all sink in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's finally working. So just quickly, this is what your placement assignment looks like. It's like, as I said, it's just a summary of what you entered on the order aspect. It goes, again, the rates you can kind of see in here, what the pay rate is for the worker and what you guys are being charged. This is test, so this will be the same thing. Do not worry about this. And any expenses that this particular placement is eligible to submit. And you can go in here under timesheets. You'll be able to see all of them that are tied to this placement, and you'll be able to see all the reiterations of the extensions that have happened.
One process question, and I'm sure that I suspect the process hasn't changed, so this may be ignorance on my part. So if I'm going to extend a contractor, is it, and I noticed that the PO, right, that we're out of funds, right? Do I need to approach finance first, or do I initiate this process first? And like, Alicia, you and your team reach out to finance to kind of work through the, addition to the PO, et cetera.
You're on mute, Alicia.
Thank you. Yeah, for extensions, I still am going to have email chains, and so just bring it to me, and then probably still be doing email and figuring out the tool and making sure everyone can log in and approve. So we'll be doing it in tandem for a little while.
Okay.
The ultimate goal is to get everything in the tool. That way, you can just say, I want to approve, or I want to extend so-and-so, but still we still have to get the approvals. And then once that's done, there's still the manual piece of the SOW creation and change order and processing and POs. And so there are still some things that are going to be done like manually outside the tool. So keep me in the loop on anything you need and we'll work through those situations.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions?
No?
Awesome. And I know you guys had a couple of questions on the chat and Allie already answered them. So thank you so much, Allie. All right, well, I will keep you guys then. We will be sending out those guides by the end of today. That way you guys will have them fresh and ready for tomorrow's approvers that you guys need to do. So thank you so much for your time. Please let us know if there are any issues within the tool that you guys are not seeing correctly. If Alicia can't figure it out, trust me, she will rely on me to help figure this out too. We appreciate all of your help and all of your patience with all of this. And that was it. So enjoy the rest of your day.